Boo! Everybody, hey! This is Nerd Quiz number 6, just in time for Halloween. Got a special Halloween edition for you. This is all about monsters and scary things. Ooh! Hope you guys have a good Halloween. Enjoy, get some treats, smell some feet, if that's your thing. But we're going to play Nerd Quiz right now. 20 questions on science fiction and fantasy things, mostly fantasy this time. Let's jump into round 1. We got some literature here. We've got horror novels, famous horror novels, and I'm going to read you the first line of 5 different novels. I want you to name me the novel and the writer. Number 1. Rosemary and Guy Woodhouse had signed a lease on a 5-room apartment in a geometric white house on First Avenue when they received word from a woman named Mrs. Cortez that a 4-room apartment in the Bramford had become available. Number 2. Jack Torrance thought, officious little prick. Number 3. So intent was Frank upon solving the puzzle of Lemarchand's box that he didn't hear the great bell begin to ring. Number 4. I warn you that what you're starting to read is full of loose ends and unanswered questions. And number 5. The blaze of sun wrung pops of sweat from the old man's brow, yet he cupped his hands around the glass of hot, sweet tea as if to warm them. Round 2 is on many things. This is a mixed bag of questions, and I think you'll catch on to what the theme is pretty quickly here. Number 6. In the card game Magic the Gathering, where do cards go once they have been used or discarded? Number 7. In what Stephen King story collection was the novella The Mist published in 1985? Number 8. What is the term for a piece of software that is designed to take a predetermined set of actions if a human fails to routinely activate it? Number 9. When DC Comics character Jim Corrigan is murdered, he is sent back to Earth by The Voice as what powerful superhero? And number 10. What is the term for someone who writes for and gives authorship credit to another person? Round 3 is on movie quotes. These are single quotes from some pretty cool science fiction or fantasy horror type movies. I'm going to play the quote for you, and I want you just to name the movie. Number 11.
Good. Bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
Number 12.
No. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Number 13.
They're all gonna laugh at you!
Number 14.
Don't ever invite a vampire into your house, you silly boy. It renders you powerless.
And number 15.
We'll begin with a reign of terror. A few murders here and there. Murders of great men, murders of little men, just to show we make no distinction.
And our final round is on movie monsters. I'm going to show you the monster taken directly from a movie poster, and I want you to name me the movie that is being advertised. I'll give you a bit of a hint, perhaps. The movie and the monster itself bear the same name. Number 16. Number 17. Number 18. Number 19. And number 20. Alright, pencils down. Let's go over the answers for our scary quiz. Our literature round, again, was horror novels. Number 1 was Rosemary's Baby by Ira Levin. Not exactly a horrific start, but this is a classic horror novel. It had a huge impact on the horror genre. And then number 2 came along and changed it even more. That, of course, is The Shining by Stephen King. Number 3 was The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. That box that Pinhead and everybody has in the movies, they're always trying to open, that is called Lemarchand's box. Number 4, have not read. I've seen the movie, seen a couple of different movie versions of this, but I'm going to read this one day. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and that was written by Jack Finney. And number 5 is the opening line of The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty. Again, not exactly a horrific beginning, but hey, that's the way the best horror novels go. Start out very simple, very benign, and then the demons come in. But round 2, our potpourri round. Hey, I bet you picked up on the theme here, didn't you? Number 6, where do used cards go in Magic? They go to the graveyard. Number 7, that Stephen King collection was called Skeleton Crew. Number 8, that is a Dead Man's Switch. A very famous example of a Dead Man's Switch is in the television show Lost. Underground, Desmond is having to type in a code on a computer at a certain interval of time forever, and if he doesn't, well, apocalypse or something. I'm not quite sure what happened, but something happened. Number 9, Jim Corrigan died and came back as the Spectre. And number 10, if you write for someone else, you are a ghostwriter. And here's a cool piece of trivia that I found out. H.P. Lovecraft was a ghostwriter for Harry Houdini. It's very true. Round 3 was movie quotes. This is number 11.
Good.
This is a very famous quote in a movie full of famous quotes, Army of Darkness. Number 12, you've probably heard this quote or used this quote in many contexts, but it actually got its start in this movie. This was the first time it was used. The Fly, specifically David Cronenberg's Fly, a great movie. Number 13, of course, was Carrie.
They're all gonna laugh at you.
Number 14, that is the final vampire, the boss vampire in The Lost Boys. And number 15, that was the great Claude Rains as the Invisible Man. And round 4, movie monsters. Number 16, that was The Blob. Number 17, that is a critter, but the movie is called Critters. And 18, again, singular, but the movie is called Ghoulies. Let me give you a little heads up here. In the movie, they don't wear suspenders. Number 19 is Rawhead Rex. I've seen the movie, don't remember a whole lot about it, except the monster himself, the puppet, and everything about the monster is gruesome. And the Clive Barker short story it is based on, also very gruesome. And number 20, I had to throw this one in. You can't talk about movie monsters and not throw in a Japanese monster. That was Mothra. I remember Mothra fondly. I don't quite know why. And I never really could figure out who those tiny little people were that would follow Mothra around. But I think they were worshippers, perhaps. Anyway, I wanted to talk a bit about scary movies and monsters in particular. I love monsters. I love monsters, be they magazines or movies or mashes or magnets. I love them, man. And even as a young kid, I think maybe 10 years old, I was quite familiar with the big monsters of the 80s. The 80s, to me, were the golden age of horror movies and of monsters. I knew them all. Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers. I was familiar with these guys. How did a child at such a young age see so many monster movies? I'll make a confession here. I had kind of an irresponsible father. he gave me access to gore and violence that I was probably not quite ready for. I remember seeing a lot of R-rated movies when I was a kid, Chuck Norris and Rambo, full of violence, full of death. And one particular night, we went over to my uncle's house and we watched back to back the first 3 Friday the 13th movies. And my uncle had this thing where he would just pause the film in mid-evisceration. So I would just stare at death on the screen, at gore, at blood, at brains, at a face full of hatchet for minutes at a time. Needless to say, I did not sleep very well that night. But I got to sleep because I had an epiphany. I'm very proud of my younger self for this thought. I figured out that Jason and Freddy and the lot, those are evil monsters, right? Well, we could combat them with good monsters. What are good monsters? Well, I had already seen plenty of those too. There was the Swamp Thing. There was that Rock Eater from the Never-Ending Story. There were good monsters. And if my imagination insisted on putting Jason Voorhees at the end of my bed, well then you know what? I could conjure those good monsters into my room to keep me safe. That's exactly what I did. I imagined them surrounding my bed, protecting me. And I finally got to sleep because I brought good monsters into my room. Anyway, I wish you guys lots of good monsters too on the Halloween here. Hope you have a safe one. Hope you don't get a tummy ache. Thanks for playing along, everybody. Thank you, 9 Inch Nails, for your awesome music. Thank you, the internet, for being so cool. Sometimes creepy, but mostly cool. And thanks everybody out there playing along, watching the videos. Hope someone out there is having a good time right along with me here. Hey, stay nerdly, everybody. Do something awesome. Be scary and be scared. Both of those things are fun. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.